explain to them the idea, the concept, the markets you're trying to hit, and don't give everything out in one shot. It's like when you go on a date with a pretty girl for the first time. You don't just go out and tell her your entire life story. She'll run away.
Welcome to our series entitled the IAM Podcast, a podcast about innovation, business, and most importantly, people. In this series, we'll be talking to founders, executives, and various experts about their vision, challenges, best practices, and lessons learned throughout their journey. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the IAM Podcast. Today, I'm so thrilled. I'm going to be with the CEO and co-founder of a stealth startup, Ian Sanders. Hello, Ian.
Hey, nice to meet you guys. How's everything with you?
Everything good, and we're excited. It's our first time to interview a founder of a stealth startup. So let's get started. But give us a brief background of your experience, of your expertise, and why should people listen till the end of this episode?
Oh wow! So there's so many reasons, so much more than one. But I'll first go into a little bit of my background myself. So. Unlike most Israeli startup founders, I actually come from more of a security-based background. So I started out as a special forces operator in one of Israel's elite counter-terror units. Afterwards, I went to in the world of security contracting as a security consultant for one of the larger metal trading companies in the world. And then afterwards, I decided to go into the world of software engineering, bits and bytes, went from front end to full stack to machine learning, jack of all trades, as I would like to say.
They say rather than shooting in the dark, you should put the idea up front, in front of people, in front of your market, so you know what they want and what they don't want. So I would love to know, why did you choose to keep your activities undercover or not completely out in the public?
So it's very important, and it's a very important differentiation to understand why you go in to become a stealth startup. Right. So, for example, if you were developing a technology, which is maybe like some normal SaaS product where the market is clearly defined, or you're developing maybe a social media platform, there's no reason to go into stealth mode. Do not do that. It's a very bad idea. You want to be as open as possible with what you're doing. But if you're developing something which is much more, I would like to say, frontier tech, where there's a large potential to the market, which is untapped yet, and you want to be careful, you want to develop the idea, develop the technology, develop the team before you go out in the open, then there's something. That's exactly what we're doing.
Okay. Is there a time, do you have a plan? How long would you go in stealth, and how many more months before you go out, launch your product to the public?
So currently right now for us, it was to clearly understand our markets, have clear-cut revenue, define a very strong founding initial start team, and only then would we officially leave stealth mode. And we're planning on doing so over the next month and a half to finally leave stealth mode. So now that everything is coming together in a very proper and cool manner.
Wow, really good to hear that everything is coming together. So before that, talk to us about your journey, the process. So it usually starts with validating the idea, right? Talk to us about how the product market fit.
Right, so product market fit. So I have to be completely honest. So when you're dealing with newer concepts, it's really just like shooting out into the dark. So we went through, I even write it down my LinkedIn profile. Everything I write there, is just completely and totally true. I went through almost every business model known to man, B2G, B2C, B2B2C, until we finally figured out B2B. 6 verticals, a lot of other verticals that we tried seeing, we analyzed, and they didn't even make the cut. You really, it's kind of like throw as much as you can, see what sticks, and what sticks, just go with it. That's it. You never know until you actually try it.
So how do you know that that's it? How do you know that this is it when you don't get feedback from people? So
So you do. So you reach out to people, of course. So that's the point is that you're reaching out to people personally, reaching out to them, seeing what will stick, what will not stick. And then based off of that, you move forward. So that was the point is trying those verticals, analyzing first in your mind, analyzing the markets, reaching out to key players in the markets. And I'll give anyone who wants to go to stealth mode as well, a quick, even though we didn't do it for these reasons to make it clear, but people are much more likely to talk to you if you actually state you're a stealth mode startup than if you are not a stealth mode startup, because that intrinsic value, that hidden value, is a lot more special than if you just come out in the blue. I've gotten a lot more meetings actually saying that I'm a stealth mode startup than I think if I would have just stayed out of the blue. This is what we're doing. This is what we're about.
So they're intrigued.
They're intrigued, of course.
Okay. So yeah, what happens in the conversation? Like how much information can you divulge in when you reach out to people?
You have to be careful. So it depends. First of all, it depends on what type of people you're reaching out to, and then depends on, there's a lot of different factors. So for example, when you're reaching out to build your team, for example, it would be very, very small, and slowly but surely you start building it up until eventually you get to a point where you have them enough intrigued that they want to sign an NDA and move forward with you. When it comes to companies, you give them, I would say, give them enough for them to understand the value. Don't divulge too much. Divulge just enough. It's a very fine point, I would like to say.
Okay. And you talked about, I mean, during the previous conversation about
Right.
VCs, you talk with VCs. So please tell us what happens when you talk with VCs.
So I want to state to anybody who's listening out there, 100%, okay? Don't ever get a VC to sign an NDA. They will not sign it. It's a bad idea. Okay. The only way that you would ever maybe get a VC to sign an NDA is if you know that they're investing in a direct competitor against you. In that case, don't even talk to them. It's not even worth it. But reaching out to them, explaining to them, the VCs be open. You don't give them everything, right? You don't have to tell them, I don't know what, this is my technology. This is what we developed. These are the algorithms. These are our results. You could explain to them the idea, the concept, the markets you're trying to hit, and don't give everything out in one shot. It's like when you go on a date with a pretty girl for the first time. You don't just go out and tell her your entire life story. She'll run away. Gotta be a little bit careful. Divulge little bits.
Yeah, that's very intriguing. Okay, so yes, how do you build your marketing brand? I mean, okay, what do you do for marketing? How do you make people aware?
So to be very clear, as a startup founder, as the main founder, you are the brand. You are the company. You are the life and soul of the company. The company is basically based off of who you are and what you do and how you live by. So how do I brand? Reaching out to a lot of people, them understanding who I am, them seeing the journey, because it isn't just, we're not talking, by ourselves. This has been, there are a number of people, VCs, different companies that know who I am, and they understand the process that we've done. So yeah, it's building that brand. First, it's the company, it's the person, and then afterwards it expands and becomes the team and really becomes something bigger than just a few people.
So yes, so you become the brand and then you recruit people to join you and build that. So talk to us about your co-founders first.
So my first co-founder was actually my cousin, to make it clear. So my cousin he's also senior software engineer, phenomenal guy. So first and foremost is really reaching out to people that you completely trust, like my cousin, for example. And then afterwards, now we understand that we're onto something very big and we're able to bring in big names. So right now we're bringing in some, I don't want to divulge too many names, but some very, very big people, some people who've run some very interesting enterprises in the Israeli tech scene. And yeah, very excited.
Okay, yeah, we are very excited. Like we are hearing, okay, you cannot divulge that too much information and it's hopefully soon, right? Okay, so how do you plan to recruit talent?
So right now we recruit based off of key people that we, friend through a friend, personal, in the network that we currently have. When we go to stealth mode, then we'll do classical, more, classical ways of recruiting new team members when we leave stealth mode. But in the current stage that we're currently at right now, there's no need to, go and, recruit now 40 people.
Okay, at the current stage that you are, where you're at right now. So how do you feel? I mean, what's the drive? Where do you get your, fuel? What fuels you? What drives you? What excites you?
What fuels me, what drives me, what excites me? What excites me is that the product that we're building is something which is very important for the world, first and foremost. I think that's any startup founder. Me personally, I come from more of an impact, and I'm divulging a little bit, but we're an impact startup where we're trying to do something which will hopefully save a lot of lives and save a lot of pain and suffering for the populations of the world over the coming few years and over the next I'm going to divulge a little bit more. The next major crisis, which will hit this planet, unfortunately. And beyond that, doing it for the future, doing it for my children. Me, I come from a very, I call family-based, family-based called system or background. For me, it's very important that the world I'm going to be building for my children is going to be a better world.
Yeah, well, I always ask this question, but I don't know if you can ask. I can ask you this question, like the idea. You said you like.
Yeah, of course.
How the idea come about? How did the idea come about?
Total coincidence. I was developing something else, and the idea just while I was developing it, just popped into my mind. Something completely different, nothing to do with it whatsoever. And then ever since then, I've just been running with it. And it's been, of course, it's mutated and it's changed, but the core principle of what we're trying to do is the core problem that we're trying to solve. That first idea that popped into my mind, it's exactly the same. Just the way to solve it has completely changed.
And when you told your co-founder, which was your cousin, so how did he react? Take us to the table where you first talked about the idea.
Yeah. So to be honest, it was more of a phone call. So that was the first idea. So my cousin is my cousin is we're all tech geeks in the end of the day. So just hear like a crazy idea. It's like, yeah, let's go and try to do that. What's the worst that could happen? So I actually reached out to two other people before. They both told me absolutely not. And I'm like, you know what? Hell marry it. Let's go and talk to my cousin. I had a talk with him and he said, yeah, that's a pretty good idea. Let's try doing that. Yeah, that was it.
Okay. So what was the challenge? I mean, right where you're at right now, looking back, what's the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge was figuring out how to monetize this by far. That was the biggest challenge. When you're developing new concepts, something which is really not I really state this as a kind of there's a positive and negative in dealing with these types of companies. So the negative is that it's hard to prove the value as opposed to other more, I like to call mainstream companies dealing in more mainstream verticals. But the advantage is that if you actually succeed in monetizing these types of ideas, they're 30 to 40 times more profitable than companies that deal in more mainstream markets. There's a very good reason why Elon Musk is going to become the world's first trillionaire. He took a market and he completely revolutionized it. And we plan on doing the same thing in our market.
And how are you going to do that? I mean, take us through the thinking process.
A lot of coffee. That's the first and foremost. A lot of coffee. But no, take us through the thinking process. It's working very, very hard, finding the right people with the same vision, and all working together to take in our key verticals. So we have one vertical where we understand we can go and dominate that vertical. So we're going to first go for that vertical, take everyone in that vertical, go for our next vertical and our next vertical until we become a major player.
Okay. So speaking of clients, so how do stealth startups get clients?
Yet again, reaching out. You have to, you find out who is your key person, who are your champions. And I call the champion. When I say champion, I'm thinking about the people that you reach out in the company, find them, get to them somehow, and that's it. And talk to them. Be open. I can tell you right now, there's two critical things in being a startup founder. Beyond having a great idea, and moving forward. Great ideas are a dime a dozen in the end of the day. There are plenty of great ideas. The two primary factors that will decide, whether you even have a chance of succeeding or failing is extreme determination. Okay. In the end of the day, people really don't understand this, but it's just really, digging in and making sure that whatever happens, you're going to make it happen. It doesn't matter, just extreme determination and a little bit of luck. A little bit of luck doesn't hurt.
So have you been to the point where you said, okay, maybe this isn't gonna work?
Absolutely. Multiple times. That's the point of extreme determination. It really is. There are plenty of times, and there will be plenty of other times where it'll be very clear where the startup may completely fail. Happens, always happens. There have been plenty of times where I've been trying to warp through and figure out where is the real value that, I thought why am I doing this? But then I understand what are the reasons that I'm doing this. I'm doing this because it's important. It's important, for the world, the future, and it's important for my future, for my future wife, future kids. Any of the ladies out there? No, I know it's a normal thing. So I know it's more of the Israeli ladies, but I'm still single, technically speaking. So. Just no, I'm joking around, guys. But no, so the important thing is to get off the ground and then being able to also deal with other things as well. So for me, it's those are the primary drivers, which is obviously building this company, and the second thing is really building it for my wife, my children. Those are primary things that drive me forward.
Okay, right. I really hope this brings you a lot of good luck and a lot of good girls after this.
So now I have a little bit more time. Now that things are starting to look up for us, I'm now starting to think it's not 120%. It's more like 85% and then 15% on that. But yeah, 100%.
Any tips, or what are the tips that you can tell or you can share to people who are working in a stealth startup or planning?
What I would have to say honestly is understand the reasons why you're doing this. Okay, like I stated in the very beginning of this talk, if you're building the next Facebook or you're building some SaaS product where the market is clearly cut, everything is clear, don't go into stealth mode. You're not going to help yourself. There's no point in going into stealth mode. If you're developing something unique where you understand that there's this huge potential, huge market that's completely untapped and there's a massive potential, okay. Then there's a clear-cut case where you should probably go into stealth mode and then understand exactly how to monetize, when to monetize, build your team, build your tech. And then once everything is ready to move forward.
Okay. So what if one day when you do the grand reveal, you realize that someone else releases a similar product to yours?
All right. If that's the case, listen, at the end of the day, companies make or break not based off of how many people, there will be competition 100%. Companies, and companies need to learn how to deal with that. Competition is healthy sometimes, but it's understanding about becoming the first. We have a number of things that we're dealing with of how we plan on dominating our markets. And one of them is that we're going to be the first to penetrate these types of markets with our specific technology.
Interesting. Really interesting. Like maybe next time on the next podcast, I will ask you what differentiates you from the existing solutions or.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Okay.
100%.
So, well, this is because I reached out to you, I remember, because of your post, right? Dream big.
Right, dream big.
Right. I cannot forget that. And you speak a lot about values, humility, sacrifice, being a team player. So who is Ian Sanders and where do you post things about that? Or where do you get it from?
Those are things that one of the, I think the biggest advantages that I have as a startup founder, me in particular, because I come from a very, very different background than the mass majority of tech startup founders, especially here in Israel, is having that large array of experiences. So it comes from difficulties I faced in my life, whether that was in my military service. We saw a few difficult things in our lives, whether that be working in Africa, whether that be through all of my life's lessons. I would like to put it that way. In the end of the day, you always need to learn something. And it's knowing how to take from experiences and learn from them and grow from them. That's where your strength will lie. And have the humility to see, where there are things that you need to improve on. So it really just comes from the heart. If I would really be honest, it isn't made up. I'll put it that way.
Okay. So if you're going to add something to your name, okay, I'm Ian Sanders, your blank founder. What do you want to be known for?
Wow. I'm Ian Sanders, your humble founder who is taking an important responsibility to build this company for the next at least decade of my life in order to make it something monumental that will be able to make a major change in the course of humanity in our certain markets. That's what I would like to be put on this side. Not to be too dramatic here, but it's in the end of the day, a startup founder. The people that are doing it solely for the money, especially in impact startup founding, they're not going to make it. Not only are they not going to make it, especially in this industry, they're never going to make it, ever. You need to really understand why you're doing this, because there will be plenty of very difficult times where everything looks like a dead end and the walls are closing in. And when it's very clear to you why you're doing this and how important it is, you'll find the strength to move forward and make it into a success.
Well, speaking of success, all the best. And we are really looking forward to that grand reveal day for you. We're going to look out for you. Thank you very much, Ian Sanders.
It was my pleasure. All the best.
Podcast is powered by IAMOps.io. Optimize your cloud infrastructure and CI/CD process with IAMOps.io dedicated DevOps team. Check out www.iamops.io and get a DevOps team now. Make sure to check out www.iamops.io if you want to know more about us. Subscribe to our podcast so you can get notified every time we post a new video. Thank you, and you have a great day.